In fact, health is normal. Sickness is abnormal. Health is defined as optimal function, and function is regulated by your brain and spinal cord. Your spine is like your suit of armor for your spinal cord. And when it's not healthy, this can produce pain and various other symptoms. As a chiropractor, I've helped thousands of people go from unhealthy to healthy and pain-free by simply improving the health of their spine. If you're living with chronic pain, or if you feel like you're dragging yourself across the finish line every day, set up a consultation to learn more about how we can help. You can book online at 603chiros.com or call 603-935-5478 and set up your consultation today. Don't put your health on hold. It's your greatest asset. Visit 603chiros.com today.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Lisa and Robyn are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn on the mic.
Good morning. Good morning. You are listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM, and you can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live. You can also watch live on Facebook as well as YouTube. Good morning, Robyn.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm good. No traffic this morning. I forgot the secret exit and kept going, but we were good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic.
Hey, I heard you went to a new restaurant last night in Salem.
I did. I went to Trattori Amalfi, and it's Italian food. You need a reservation.
Oh.
But it is fantastic.
Wait, did John make reservations
He
last night?
did.
Nice.
Good guy.
So, tell me what you got.
I got this thing called the Samantha. It's a special, and it is a chicken parm breast on the bottom, an eggplant parm piece, ricotta cheese, and lasagna noodle.
Oof, that's heavenly.
And it was huge. It was practically like a half a tray of lasagna.
What did John get?
He got chicken sorrentino, which is chicken parm with prosciutto and a layer of eggplant over pasta in like a pink sauce instead of a red sauce.
Oh,
it's
so
delicious.
Cream?
A little bit of cream, yeah.
That sounds
But
good.
the food is fantastic. It's really hot.
How's the atmosphere?
Nice. It's Italian.
I like it.
You know, it has, they've made it look like there's grape leaves above you, and there's a bar section, and there's a regular section, and it is thumping, though, on Wednesday. It is busy, so
Nice.
it's definitely a place to go.
We'll
when
have
you're
to go.
in Salem. I wanted to give Chad from Merrimack Auto a shout out. Thank you, Chad. I think last show I was telling you about my broken down vehicle, and he fixed it in one day for the plow storm, because he knows that we drive plow trucks and that the state of New Hampshire relies on us heavily during
That is
the
a good
storms.
turnaround time. Chad, we've taken ours to Chad a few times, and service has always been great.
Yes.
In the girls out front, always friendly.
Yes.
Always know your name.
Yeah. And small family-owned business.
Yes.
They bring their dogs to work, anyone who likes dogs.
Yes.
I sometimes walk their dogs when I go early in the morning. I'm like, does one of your dogs want to go for a walk? I take their dogs for a walk. So shout out to Chad. And then everyone is going to like this. I have a single-family home for rent in Nashua.
Nice. Where is it?
Down on West Hollis, past the YMCA towards Hollis. The address is 967 West Hollis Street in Nashua. It is a single-level, 3-bedroom, 1 bath on half an acre with a
Wow.
full basement, plenty of parking, a deck, and a small shed.
Wow.
$2,500 per month.
Is that off of exit 6?
Yes.
Okay.
But you can actually get there from exit 5, too, if you just go all the way down past the
Oh, yeah.
YMCA.
I don't know where the Y is. The Conval, the ice rink, and all that
Yes.
stuff.
Go now, take a right, and go by there.
Nice.
Yeah.
I use exit 6 sometimes to go home, so I don't have to, if it's late in the afternoon, I don't have to do the traffic, because I don't like the on and off ramps for the exit 7s.
Yes.
It's just too short, man. Like, you've got to gun it to get out of there. It's not good.
So if anybody wants to rent that, you can call Ritz Escape Brokerage during business hours, 603-897-9309.
Awesome.
And we can set up a rental showing. The only thing that I have different about that one that my rentals normally don't have is I can't accept pets at that one.
That's right.
Normally I accept pets, but that one is a no pet property. He did have cats in it. They did do a lot of destruction, so he doesn't want pets this time around.
I get it.
Yeah, I get that too. Spend a lot of time renovating, a month and a half renovating.
You have a bad situation in there when people have pets, and all it takes is one.
Well, and also it is people need to get over, forget.
Yes, yes.
I mean, even the
Let
heating
the pain
system
die down a little bit.
Let the memory fade.
Right, right.
But normally we're a pet-friendly rental company, but the single-family home doesn't allow pets. But it's single family. It's a great opportunity to be by yourself in a single-family home.
That's awesome.
Single level.
Is it in a neighborhood?
It is right on West Hollis, so it's not down a side street. It's on that
nice.
main road.
So easy access.
Easy access to and from the highway.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah, very, very good. And
Right.
we plowed this weekend.
How was it?
It was, they didn't call the storm correctly. So they had everyone going out at 7, like that the storm was going to be overnight. And really the storm was on Sunday. So we had, John's out in the storm from 7 o'clock at night. And then by 9 the next morning, I think, okay, we haven't even gotten the storm that they were predicting. Let me relieve him. I'm probably only going to be out a couple of hours. And that's when the storm hit, when he was sleeping. And then, of course, my hydraulic line blew on my plow. And I thought, this is the universe telling me I'm not supposed to be in a plow truck. But that's not the way it kind of works.
No good deed goes unpunished.
No good deed goes
You
unpunished.
try to love on somebody and bam, there you go.
But what I do think is important is it made me feel really resistant to, I'm trying to make money. I'm not trying to spend money. You're in the middle of a snowstorm. It's a Sunday. There's nowhere to get this fixed. It just felt like so much resistance. And I thought, this is the entire life of a business owner.
Yes.
Is facing this resistance each and every day, whether you can plan your problems or you don't plan your problems. And we just took that plow for service and we said, change all the hoses. And they said, no, the hoses look fine. And of course it busts.
That's not true. Take him to Chad and he won't tell you that.
He doesn't do hydraulic lines, so that's the only thing.
That's right.
But he does do diesel. So he has a shop in Nashua and he has a shop in Merrimack. And the diesel, I know there's definitely diesel at the Merrimack location.
Oh, yes. That's the one we always went to. And then when Jonah had a little snafu with his car, it was closer to go to the Nashua one. I was like, I never knew you were here.
Yes. Yeah, he's got 2 locations.
That's awesome.
So tell me what you have been going on. I've been blabbering.
Well, so wait a minute. I want you to finish your story about your truck. Because you're sitting there, your resistance, you're broken down on the side of the truck.
I'm in the park and ride at exit 8, so the bus parking lot. And at first I thought it was my joystick, so I'm underneath the truck in the driving snow because it's when it's snowing an inch an hour, and I'm pulling apart an old joystick. I'm putting in a new joystick, right? That doesn't work. And then I go out to look at the plow, and there's just the blue fluid everywhere. And I'm like, oh, man. And then John's sleeping, so he can't pick up. And then there's the part of me I start troubleshooting, calling, are there any mobile places that can come fix it on? No, nobody's answering the phone. I'm going through the troubleshooting techniques for an hour. And then finally, John calls me. He's like, this is the great thing about having 2 plows. We'll just swap the other plow onto that truck. We'll finish the storm and then we'll deal with it.
That's awesome.
That happens. But I could feel it blooming in my chest. I could feel, because what it felt like was resentment. I was resentful for being in the truck. I was resentful for the snow. I was just resentful for everything. And then I'm like, I'm not really resentful, but this is just resistance. This is when we feel like the world is conspiring against us. And I do think there's times when I think the world is conspiring for us.
Yes.
And so I think when I look at how you interact with certain things, I think you have a speakerphone to the universe that conspires for you. I think...
And I did get a free pair of shoes the other day.
You did get a free pair of shoes the other day. You found the painting you were looking for $5. Yes. I feel like you were just on speed dial with the muses that grant wishes.
And what's funny is because I don't really understand the whole concept of the muses, and I'm like listening to and listening to him, and I'm listening to this book. And
So this book is called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield.
yes, love it, love it, love it. That is definitely one I will be listening to every year. I have so many notes. It's unbelievable how, like, even on the way here, I'm like, I can't listen to. It's only a 2.5 hour read, maybe not even that. It took me 6 pages of the notes to get through the first hour, and I was like, okay, I just need to slow down. I can't listen to it while I'm driving.
So I listen to it every January. So as a business person, it's good. He talks about the war of art, which is any endeavor in which you go to an elevated plane. So if you're going to go drinking and gambling and squander all your money away in Vegas, that takes no effort at all. Resistance doesn't meet you.
right.
But anytime you're trying to do something better or more or higher or a spiritual calling or losing weight, anything that requires change and growth.
Expansion.
Anytime you try a new project, you want to try to paint, you want to try to write anytime you try to do anything that requires you to change or grow, resistance is there. And he calls it a malevolent force.
Yes.
And what's really funny is every January I listen to that again, because it's only a couple of hours, I'm in the car so much, and I'm listening to that while I'm inside of the truck with the problem. And I thought, oh, this is resistance, because I was calling it resentment.
Yeah.
At first, I was like, "Oh God, I'm so resentful. I'm resentful for being in the truck." And then it was like I'm listening to him talking. I'm like, it's resistance. It's trying to do a good thing, trying to make progress forward, trying to make money. All of that piece of it is. Last week when I broke down, I felt like the world was conspiring for me. This time I was feeling like it was conspiring against me. I'm going to spend money. I'm barely making money. I was doing that whole thing.
Right.
But then at the same time, when John picked up the phone, because he finally woke up and said, "Don't worry about it. We have another plow. We'll just swap it out. It's no problem. We can finish out the storm. We'll still make money. It's fine." Then I got, okay, that was just resistance. And then I'm like, man, how much do I bump against resistance? Well, I'm a business owner.
Well, but the week before, your truck had broken down.
Yes.
And it's kind of like, two whammies. You guys.
Yeah, it was on the 11th day of the new year. I've had 2 truck altercations. My truck is not with me today. That's how many truck
Right.
altercations I have. The first half of the first month. I'm getting them all out of the way.
2024 is showing up like a bad, nasty B word.
Yeah.
She is. She's coming like, all right, you guys want to expand and grow? Let's throw.
Did you have plans? You're going to be taking the truck to a
Yes.
dealer. Did you have plans? You're going to have to go give your truck away for a day so that, it just is another obstacle. Just another full-blown obstacle.
Yes, but when we're in the middle of the throes, and what I want you to get to our listeners is how you handled both of those, because you changed your mindset.
Yeah.
You recognized that, hey, this is resistance. It's building resentment. It's building anger in me, and it's taking you off of your path. You were telling me you're driving down the road and the engine is clunking. It sounds like the engine is eating itself. And it's what, 5 o'clock at night?
No, it's 7 o'clock at
It's
night.
7 o'clock at night. You're on your way home. You just want to go home. That frustration. But look how you changed your mindset and ended up having a beautiful evening. That's what I want you to tell.
Well, we talked about that. This one was a little bit harder because for the listeners, I have had a health problem. And so one of the things, you're listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 M, and you can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live, and you can watch on Facebook Live, and you can watch on YouTube Live. And we are on every Thursday from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Last week was, it was my first blow, right? I could take that one in stride. This one, I had a health problem that I'm like, I'm not going to plow anymore because it is negatively affecting my health. So I made this promise to myself that I'm going to take care of my health and I'm not going to plow. And I went in the truck once last year to relieve John while he was sleeping, and my windshield broke. A piece of ice hit my windshield, and my windshield broke. I wasn't in the truck 15 minutes. This year, first time I get in the truck, and you sort of feel like, so is this conspiring against me because I'm not supposed to be in the truck?
I think it's the universe trying to tell you don't plow.
But I could totally believe that, right? I could tell that story. I'm under the black cloud, blah, blah, blah. But the truth of the matter is it's every day, all day.
Yes.
Because you're trying to solve problems as a business owner. Plowing, we're trying to clean up a storm. And things that break with plows only break during a storm because that's the only time you're using them.
Right. Right.
Right. So the hydraulic lines never go when it's nice out because you're not using the plow.
In July.
They only go in the middle of a snowstorm, right? So what I should say is standard. This is standard. This is par for the course. This is what happens when you're trying to get anything accomplished.
Expect it.
Yeah. The malevolence force of resistance is coming, and that's what we push against.
Yes.
And as business owners, I think we do push against that all the time.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And when you're creating art, you're writing a book, you're writing a piece of music, you're trying to take your dance lessons, and you're trying to do something creatively, resistance pushes against that as well.
Yes, I think that anytime that you're going to try to change and bring positivity into your life, I think you're going to meet resistance every time. You know, we were watching The Umbrella Academy last night. We're in season 3, and one of the girls said, actually, I'm going to read it real quick. And I thought about it. I thought about it and being in resistance. She said, people don't want apologies. They want confessions.
Ooh.
They want you to stand there and listen to all the ways that you hurt them to make sure you know that you hurt them. And I heard that and I was like, wow, that is so true, because we can't let go. And that is resistance. That is resistance to forgiveness. That is resistance to peace. It's resistance to joy. The end of the day, if you really care about somebody, does it really matter the exact words that were said to hurt your feelings if that person is acknowledging the fact that they hurt your feelings? Isn't it enough to just say, hey...
It depends on if they hurt your feelings the same way over and over again.
Well, that's true. I do feel like, shots fired and here we come, because I have an arsenal, man. I'm a sniper. And my code name, I've always said, I even said to my kids, when you guys have kids, as a grandparent, I'm going to be 007. I'm like, you just call me 00.
I love that.
Kayla's like, my kids are not going to call you 00.
They could.
I'm like, well, why not?
They could. I went to the bank this morning, Bar Harbor, before I came in to do a deposit, and I just learned that the branch manager is going to be a grandma, and she's going to be called Nana.
Aww.
And then she said, what else could I be called? Because I said, do you want to be a Grammy? She goes, no, I don't want to be any of those. I'm going to be a Nana. What do you want to be as a grandmother?
Well, I already said 00, and then
Yep.
Jonah's like, no, if anything, you're going to be called M.
Ooh.
So I'm like, I could do M. I like Mimi.
You do like Mimi.
I like Mimi.
I have a Mimi in my family.
I like Mimi.
I like it better than Gigi.
I actually like Gigi too.
You do? I don't like Gigi for some reason. It doesn't bring a maternal sound to me.
Yeah, I like Mimi.
No offense to the Gigis.
I also said I liked Meme too, but I don't know.
Mimi sounds very Southern
Yes.
to me.
Well, Granny sounds really Southern to me.
Yep.
We always Granny. So I don't know. My mom is Nanny, and so Nanny and Nana, and I don't know. That's their word.
Mm.
I so associate it. So the first one, 00, M, or Mimi. It's going to go so well.
Well, you have chances on both sides, so maybe you
Yes.
could be two different things.
Yes. Well, I have a feeling, if things are gonna go, Kayla's probably gonna be the first one to call
You never
that
know.
one.
There's surprises
That is true.
everywhere.
That is
surprises
true.
everywhere.
That's true. Because they say we plan and God laughs.
Yes. Yes. And so in resistance mounts its forces.
Yes. I do. I think that when you're trying to lean into a good energy, into alignment with, how did he say it when you're talking about your muse? He was talking about conscious, a greater level of consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, spiritual awakening, anything having to do with hard abs. Anytime you're
Yes.
trying to do anything, you're going to meet resistance. And I think as children, we don't want to resist anything. We want to stick our fingers in the light socket. We want to put everything in our mouth. We want to play with all the toys. We want to play with all the kids. We want to go out. We want to run in the street. So we resist nothing as children, right? Because I was thinking of Stephen Pressfield's definition of resistance is the resistance we feel as adults. It's
Yes.
the resistance we feel as business owners and as creatives and as people in the world. Everyone feels resistance.
Yes.
But I think we do need to be resisting. We need to resist temptation to eat a bag. I will say I need to resist eating a bag of Cool Ranch Doritos in a party size, right? I'm not having one Dorito. I'm not having a small bowl of Doritos, and I don't resist. I don't
Right.
resist. If I'm eating Doritos, I'm eating Doritos. But I think of sometimes we need to build resistance because
Yes.
we sometimes when we feel so much resistance, it's hard to push back against that.
Well, so I think resistance is good and resistance is good and resistance is bad. And you were saying something yesterday that I wanted to talk about. You said when we're kids, we're always taught no. We're always taught no, you don't think outside of the box. I was always told no, and I'm a why person. Like, if I understand why I'm doing this, then it makes sense. But just being told no, why I can't have a sleepover, or why can't I get that treat at the store? As a kid, you don't know, but you're always just told no. Don't try this and don't do this. It's not safe, and you don't have an explanation why. So we just take it blindly. No, don't play in the street. No, don't doing that. Well, usually playing in the street, we usually get a reason why. Touching the
You're gonna get run over
stove.
by a car.
Yes. Touching a stove, you get a reason why. But a sleepover or, can I get one of those ice creams or can I get a candy bar? It's always no and no an explanation why.
Yeah.
So my kids growing up, I didn't want to say, we just made agreements. So I had to take 2 kids to the grocery store. And instead of, getting down every aisle, oh, can I have this? Can I have this? So I would always let them pick. You could pick out one junk food cereal that you like, and you can pick out one treat. And they both get their own treat. You guys want to share, however. So they're going through the aisles now looking for what do I want best instead of saying, can I have this? Can I have this? Instead of just doing a mad grab for, desperation. It is. I'll take anything at this point. I'm like, do you really want that instant box of rice?
Right.
No, you don't.
But I want all the things. I can't have any. If I'm limited, I can't have everything. So I'm
Right,
panicked.
but in the same thing is I grew up a picky eater. I was texture sensitive. It's not like I love the taste of onion. I just don't like the texture of it, raw or slimy. I don't like it. And it was a battle, and my mom would say, you're going to sit there and eat that. She didn't try it for very long because she also knows she had a stubborn daughter.
we were going to be at the table for a long, long time. No one was going to bed that night.
Like, all right, Mom, I got you. Hold my beer. I got this on lockdown.
I've got nowhere to be, nothing to do.
Right. All you can do is tell me to go to bed so we can ride this out.
I wanted to stay up anyways.
Right.
I didn't
But
want to go to bed.
I also started learning a little bit more as I was growing up. I started learning a little more about food and how many times our grandparents' generation grew up in a world that says, finish your plate.
Yeah.
There were rations and food was scarce. It was a lot more difficult. They didn't have,
A supermarket on every corner with 10,000 items in the
and
supermarket.
fast food wasn't a luxury. And, it wasn't a luxury for them. It was just,
Different time.
But so then our parents were raised in that generation and be conservative. And I worked when I first moved up here very briefly for a daycare. And at lunch, all the teachers are like, you're going to sit there and eat your food and don't waste food and don't do this. I'm like, man, we are teaching such bad eating habits. No, what we should be teaching our children is, number one, as a parent, don't put so much food on their plate. we can actually exist on very little food.
What's really funny is I had a friend, and she said her mother was always calling her fat and then feeding her a pound of pasta
Yes.
at dinner. Like, and it was, you're the problem, Mom.
So I just was watching all these teachers tell their kids to eat, and I'm like, man, no, you should be telling them to listen to their bodies when they're not, you stop eating when you don't feel hungry anymore.
And kids have little tiny stomachs, so they're at dinner, they're not eating. An hour later, they want to eat. So there is an element, I think, of let's not make it so you're grazing junk all day, because I'm also not going to be cleaning up all day as a
Right.
parent.
Right.
There's not, I'm making grilled cheese that you only eat 2 bites of. I'm making mac and cheese you only eat 2 bites of. I'm making this you're only eating 2
Right.
bites of. There has to be some kind of element of discipline. But I also think if you sit down and have your meals and this is mealtime and this is not mealtime, that's also helpful for that.
Yes. Yes.
Because I didn't grow up necessarily with a mealtime.
Yes, that's true. And I always left out. I left grapes out. There were carrots out.
Those are great snacks, but not a mother having to make a whole meal.
Right, if
again.
you're wanting to munch and stuff. But I was actually was thinking about that. We're talking about resistance. Like, man, we've created a whole world of this lack-minded mentality of, like, I have to get it in. I have to, so we don't think about it in the same ways. And stop and being like, well, why do I have this? Why is food such a comfort for me? Or why is this vice such a comfort for me? Somewhere along the line, we were saying that we can't have it. And, when we're denied something, that creates an automatic resistance in us.
It does. You are listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM, and you can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live. And you can watch on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, and we are here every Thursday from 10 to noon. And when I was listening to you say that, I was thinking January is the perfect time to talk about resistance. Is why I always read the book in January, because you've made some pact with yourself.
Yes.
You've made some promise to yourself. And whenever you promise to yourself, everything seems to be thrown your way to prove that you will stand up to yourself. And I know my yoga studio had at the beginning of the year, this is the year we keep our promises to ourselves. And I thought, God, that's the hardest one. Because who do we give up on? So I guess some people would say they wouldn't give up on themselves first, but I know so many people who would sacrifice themselves first.
Yes.
When something comes up, it either is me or work, it has to be me. It's
Yes.
either me or the kid, it has to be me. It's either me or a family member, it has to be me. I know it's a practice thing because we show up for others well all the time.
Yeah, we just don't show up for ourselves.
We don't
In
show
the
up
same
for
way.
ourselves. Or there is so much resistance that at the end of the day, the willpower is done and we're the last ones. So if
Yes.
you put yourself last all the time in all seasons, you will end up having nothing. Because by the resistance that builds, you'll just be the last one. So you'll never write your symphony. You'll never read, you'll never write your book. You'll never create your paintings. You'll never take the dance lesson. You'll never get the 6-pack abs. I don't want six packs. 6-pack abs.
6-pack abs.
That's hard to say.
6-pack abs.
And it's really funny because I don't aspire to that. I want a firm core. I don't want a pot belly.
Right.
But I don't aspire to have that washboard ad.
I don't want washboard.
And I said that one day to John, and he goes, "Don't worry. You won't ever have washboard." Because I'm always somehow figuring out not to do abs. The ab workout.
Don't do abs. Rollerblading. It's good for your core. So in the book, he just says that resistance is the negative energy that stands between a person and their dreams, and it shows up in many forms. I like that. He also said individuals are divided into an earthbound, mundane, insular ego.
Okay, so he also talks about, I think everyone should read the book.
Oh, God, I do
Every
too.
business owner should
Is
read that
gold.
book. That's like number one. And I reread it often because even though the whole entire book is about resistance, it wasn't until I heard it when I was actually resisting something that I understood it the same way. I read a book last year or the year before called 10% Happier by Dan Harris. And I've read a ton of books on meditation because I'm a terrible meditator. Terrible
Yeah, I have
meditator.
to do a guided meditation.
And one of the things I got from that book is just to label it. The thought is, instead of trying to have no thoughts, like cramming out the thoughts from the side, pushing them out and holding space where there's nothing there. When the thought comes through, label it, judgment, feeling, sound, whatever. And then once you've labeled it, you don't have to attach to it.
Right, just let it pass.
So now I've been taking Dan Harris's 10% Happier book, labeling, and resistance, and now I'm labeling. I'm just labeling it resistance.
Right.
And then I don't have to embody it. I don't have to feel it so much because I feel it as a resentment.
Yes.
I do.
It comes up in anger and jealousy, frustration, your
Because you're pushing against something.
Lack of self-worth. What you are is you're pushing against your own you're pushing against your own demons. And your demons are like, nah, we got a good hold. We want you. We want you here. So we're going to make it difficult. It's kind of like the universe, it's like the universe saying, do you really want it? We're going to test you to see how much you really want it.
Right.
Now that you've spoken it and put it out into the universe, we're going to
So you say.
Right.
You want to write a play? So you say.
Yes.
You want to dance on Broadway? So you say.
So you say.
And that's where a lot of those other, I'm going to call them self-help books where they talk about discipline is the way, discipline is freedom. Because the way to get past resistance is to do it anyways.
Yes.
And it's really funny because before this, the hydraulic line breaking while I'm listening to a book on tape or the audible of this, I wasn't labeling that type of thing as resistance. And I was taking it as the universe was against me.
Yes.
And it's like, well, the universe actually, I started to think of it, and because of listening to this chapter right afterwards, we talk about the muses and we talk about resistance. So if you have a creative endeavor, for example, you're trying to invoke the muse because genius resides a little bit in us, but it's also a source outside of us that passes through us.
Yes, that's beautiful.
And so you want the muses around. And one of the things that I say about you that I think you have that speakerphone to the cosmos is because I think you're very playful in your everyday life. I think you come to every activity, even if it's work, with an element of playfulness. And I think the muses want to hang around with playful.
I love playful.
Yeah, and I think when you have enough muses around you helping you, you're kind of counteracting resistance because resistance is always there, but you also have a little bit of aid and assistance on the other side. Because I think the opposite of resistance is assistance.
Yes. So actually, I was thinking about that last night when you were talking, when we were here yesterday, and on the way home, I was thinking about, my word last year was surrender. And I think about how important it is. And so what I feel like what brought having that word surrender made me more aware of looking back in being present where I surrendered to the universe. And that sounds woo-woo, but it's really just being...
You can call it the cosmos or the gods.
Well, I really just think it's being in flow. And I think it's Tim Grover, don't quote me, and I can find it when we go on break. He wrote the book called The Surrender Experiment. And he's talking about how he met resistance. And I actually don't even know if he used that word in the book, but he's talking about surrendering and how his life has unfolded because of it. And he had a corporate job, and then he ended up leaving and buying this property and putting a camp on it and kind of just being like a naturalist and in letting... some people, I think, would say people let life just happen to you, but he didn't. He always was thinking, well, how can I... Maybe this is a good idea. I can't see the negative, so we're going to go in here. But yet he always expanded at each growth, at each opportunity or new experience. He expanded because he was open to curiosity, to see what does this mean? And so I think about that, and I'm like, when you were just talking about that book and this book and thinking about all these tools, and these are easy books to read. They're actually interesting, and
they're small, they're quick, so they're not a tome that you'll be reading this for the next 6 months.
Look at all these tools that you have in your toolbox, and now that I know these words, I can't ever unthink them or unsee them. And so, but it does give you a new view to look at it, like you're sitting in the truck and the hydraulic is going down. You know, John offers a solution, peace immediately. It's not to say that you can't go through life and not always be calm and be peaceful, not get frustrated, but that's what you were saying, allow it to pass.
Well, if I had just said standard, of course the hydraulic line is going to break during a snowstorm. That's the only time I'm using the plow.
Yeah.
Right? If I said that first, then I wouldn't have had that whole, because I do this, the ego, I guess, does the story, the story of I'm out here trying to make money. And now I'm going to be spending money. You know, you start doing that. And I'm a piler. We know I love to pile things on. It makes it more exciting in my head. That, throw that, the kitchen sink, and then I don't have cat food. And then what am I going to have for dinner? You start throwing everything on there.
Yes.
Don't just be panicked. Make it a drama.
Yes.
Make it a drama.
Yes.
And trying not to do that more often because it takes a lot of energy. It leaks a lot of energy out.
It doesn't. I think it doesn't want you to succeed. It's your own. I don't know if it's our own ego, our own insecurities that keeps us from stepping outside of that comfort zone. And I have a good friend of mine. He just did an app, and the app is called the Joy Code. Mark.
Oh yes,
Fitness Ninja. He reframes everything. And when we first met him, Chris is like, that's impossible. Nobody can ever be that happy all the time. And now we just, we joke
Mark
about
is.
it. Yes, because he's very, very intentional about it. It's not to say that negative stuff doesn't happen to him and he doesn't have negative thoughts. Just like what you said, labels and reframes it. And every day we have a choice. So we have a tendency to attack or attach to the negative thing that's in our life and lay down and just overlook the positives because this one seems so daunting. Mm-hmm. It's like the thorn in your side, and I'm just going to get a pick at it
Yes.
instead of being like, you know what, your body will actually heal it itself. It will work its way out. Mm-hmm. But, even masters are going to pick at the, stop resisting. Just let it pass. Don't attach.
So your word was surrender. And I think being a business person and trying to write the cookbook, for example, a lot of resistance over that because you hear, I'm not good enough. Who am I to do this? All of the millions of reasons why I'm not going to make any money doing it. All of these things that you can have, the fears that you have. Yeah, fears that you have. And then I think, well, if I just surrendered, would I give up and the resistance would win? So this is my battle with surrender, because if I surrendered, would I just not write the book? Would I just not run the business? Would I just not deal with that problem because I'm surrendering? I don't know how to use those two together.
So that's what when I first started, I was like, what? Because I'm down for a good fight.
I know.
I'm little. I'm Southern. and a little New England.
Yes.
Probably more New England now than I am Southern. But I'm always down for a good fight. I love a good verbal sparring. A good debate.
See, to me, I don't, because I get really. My energy depletes. It takes me a long time to get over fights, so I don't even want to have the fight. I will circle around because I don't want to have the fight.
Well, I mean, if push comes to shove, and like, well, I won't until I'm, until
you're ready,
until shots are fired. But so surrender was actually just pausing. For me, it wasn't. I'm not giving up because I don't like to give up.
I don't like to give up either.
It was more of allowing it to pass. Pause. And before I attach and react, just be willing to sit in it for a moment and actually think about, is this detrimental to me? Do I really need this? Is this actually serving me? Is this going to matter a year from now? Is it going to matter a month from now? Just going through that process, and it doesn't help. It helps me to detach from all that negative energy, being like, okay, it's not. It's anything that's taking me out of gratitude. So even if it's like you're frustrated at a point in the cookbook, so sometimes I just put it away. It was just like when we were on Code Names and you asked me right on the top of my head, okay, I'm like, I don't have the answer yet, but I know it's in there. I can't think of it. By the time we ended the show, I just put it in my subconscious, and I'm now trusting that it'll serve me when it's ready. It'll be there. It'll come. And Chris will often say to me, I'm just going to tell you something. I just want you to sit on it for a little bit. Or he's like, well, what do you think about this? And he'll read something or something that he's going to post. And I was like, all right, well, just let me think about it for a minute. For the most part, he's gotten to the point where he's like, okay. And he trusts me, and I'll come back to him. And he's like, great. So that was my part of surrender. I'm like, I'm not giving up on it. I'm not going to roll over. What is it saying to me? Why am I resisting this? Resist. That's the surrender.
Okay.
So I'm not going to fight it, but I'm not going to just roll over and be like, oh, you win. No. Oh. Why is this happening to me right now?
Yeah, see, and I didn't ask that other question, so I was just putting up the fight. I was just using anger as a motivator to take action.
Right.
Because I could be like, again, another problem again.
Right.
And then because I'm a piler, I could say, how many repairs are we going to have before the month of January is out? How many, I could easily,
start piling on all the reasons why.
But if the only thing that kind of, I have the book on and he's talking and I'm, beep, 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 all of the swearing that's going on. He's talking. And then I'm like, well, can I fix this? Because I call John immediately because he can fix it in my head. Mm-hmm. And then he's asleep. I'm like, of course he's asleep. And then I'm like, all right, I can fix this. Then I have Wi-Fi. Let me see if I can find, any place that's open. Let me see if I can find a mobile place. And that took time and started taking me because I was, like I said, I bloom. I bloom that anger, and
you're like, I just got to tell somebody.
I have to tell somebody because I need to get this out. Yes, this is in, and it needs to be out.
Yes.
and there was, but again, I did kind of rein it in, kind of at the same time, and I didn't bleed out a ton of energy where I was like, I need a nap.
Yeah,
John, come pick me up. I need a nap.
I'm done.
But it was really funny because I said something and it looked like the storm was going to go on, and John didn't get in until 1:30 in the morning. And I had said to him, don't call me. I'm not coming back out to relieve you. And he goes, oh, okay. Because in my head, I was like, I have just kept myself together enough.
Yes.
Dealing with that problem. And it wasn't even the problem because the problem was fixed. It was dealing with my reaction to the problem. That tired me out enough that I was in bed at 10 o'clock, and I don't go to bed at 10 o'clock. It was like,
yes.
Oh, you know what's really happening to me now? Just to go on a side note, 3:30 in the morning, I'm up. Up. I was up this morning at 4:05 because I had been lying in the bed for God knows how long. And I'll tell you this. I think it's Matthew Walker wrote a book called Why We Sleep. And he has all these great tips. You can follow him on Instagram if you don't want to read the book. And he's always doing tips about what to do. So when you wake up in the middle of the night and you don't think you can fall back asleep, you're not supposed to look at the clock. You're not supposed to pick up your phone. And you're supposed to calmly not think about problems. Don't think about your to-do list. You're supposed to just think about something calming. So I said, all right, I'm going to try this. Wake up. This was not last night. It was the night before. And I said to myself, just picture the beach. Picture any beach. I'm like, all right, I'm going to picture Aruba. And I'm feeling myself in the chair. I'm feeling sun. I'm looking at the water. And then I'm like, oh, that was such a nice trip, right? And so then I start saying, what was really fun, that pirate ship did you go on the pirate ship in Aruba?
We did not.
Okay. So they take you out to the...
We saw it. The island.
Yeah, they take you out, and then you swing from the rope into the water.
Oh, that'd be fun.
And it's 20 feet up in the air or whatever. And people are diving off the side, and I dived off the side. And I was like, that was such a fun day. I wonder why the sharks didn't come around with all the splashing. That was my thought. And then I was like, should we have been out? I wonder, because isn't all that splashing and thrashing around, isn't that what attracts sharks? And then I start going into this whole entire thing.
We're just churning the water.
Yeah, I wonder if someone was, if all anyone needed was a cut on their foot with a little bit of blood. We could have been shark. And then it's, I'm not going to bed at 4:05 because now I'm full blown into shark attacks.
You're like, damn, that was a good
That was quick.
That was a good try.
I'm gonna lie on the beach and oh my god, I can't believe we didn't get attacked to the sharks by the way.
Well, the sharks were your resentment.
My sharks of being up at 3:30 in the morning.
Yes. So I've been getting up. Today was the first morning that I got up at 7 o'clock, and 7 o'clock is like really late for me because I'm usually my feet are on the floor at 6, and I'm like, okay, that's a good compromise. I don't really want to be, but
yeah.
Then it was just hit the floor and running.
But I also haven't been working out because I was sick. And I'm just starting to feel 100% like myself. So maybe I have to start working out. Maybe that'll make me sleep through the night. But I am miserable. When I wake up, the room is pitch black. I make sure I don't look at the clock. Like, even if I have to go to the bathroom, like, don't look.
That's actually a good thing because the first thing I do when I'm up and it's still really dark outside and I'm like, I won't check my phone and see what time it is. Because we don't have any clock in our room except for our phone. The thing that drives me out of bed in early in the morning is all these negative thoughts. I wake up and I have all these negative thoughts, whether it be about...
Does it come from dreams?
I don't know. I'm not consciously aware of... I mean, I don't remember a dream.
You don't remember your dreams?
Mm-mm. I mean, every once in a while I will, but for the most part, mm-mm.
I remember all my dreams.
I mean, I did have a bad dream the other night. And it was about our family and that was like enough. I remember that. I think I do dream. I just don't ever remember them. But I get these negative thoughts, whether it's about money. It's usually fear. It's something fear-based. It's either about our relationship, money, work, like all the things that you would worry about and drive you out of bed. And then I start getting angry and I can't block that. I can't block it out. And we either listen to like a Healing Hertz, like black noise, white noise, brown noise, or anything that's on a Hertz, or I'll listen to cello.
So HRTZ.
Yes.
Okay.
Or I get to, or I will do a guided meditation. I've got a couple that will go and just play like, bird sounds and ocean waves. And in that time, I can't shake those feelings. I actually have to get up and preoccupy my brain. I'll get up and walk around the house. I'll, go get some water. And I'm like, I'm not tired. And I'm trying to shake those feelings because I can't lay there. In my mind, I can't beat it. I can't paint my picture of Aruba because the sharks come in.
Yeah. Because Aruba has sharks all around it.
So, and I kind of just put that on the shelf and I haven't really thought about that too much lately just because everything else is going on.
Well, it's really funny because I think when I was younger and much more immature and inexperienced in life and having a lot of problems, I used anger as a motivator. And I was pretty successful because if I felt like something was an injustice, it would make me angry and I could do something. If I felt like I was being taken advantage of, I could be angry and I could do something. Like I could use anger as a motivator. But then by 30, it's like, I need to have other emotions to make myself move around because now I'm angry at work. I'm angry here. I'm angry there. And it's like, I'm burning myself out here with anger. But then out of nowhere, I'm like, did I just change resentment for anger? Because now I bypass anger. Like in the plow truck, I bypassed right past anger. And I was immediately in resentful.
Resistance isn't going to get me. I'm going to be meaner than you.
Right? And then I'm like, this isn't helping anybody.
Yes.
But I know that when I'm really tired, my first emotion is anger because I'm tired. And then I have to say to myself, I'm not angry. I'm tired. I'm not hungry. I'm not angry. I'm hungry.
Yes.
I'm not, but it's funny how anger for me was the first emotion of a lot of emotions. Because if I didn't choose angry, a lot of times when I was younger, I would have been sad.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be sad because I didn't want to be considered. I didn't like the idea of, because sometimes people would hear a story or something, they'd put me in the light of a victim. And I'm like, I'm not a victim in this.
Right.
Like, I really didn't like
I fight that one too.
Yeah, because I'm not.
I don't
I have
feel
agency.
like a victim, but I am going to call you on your BS because,
And I also feel like I'm a woman in the United States in 2024. I couldn't have been born at a better time. I could have been born in the Middle Ages,
Right.
which seemed awful. I could have been, born if I was the time when it's like, oh, stitch that up or bandage that up. She's a witch, set her on fire. I mean, there are so many worse times to be alive in the world.
Yes.
For me, every time I, do it, I'm like, calm down. You have got it so good. You're in the United States. You've got agency. You've got that, You are listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. And you can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live. We have a couple of minutes.
So I had something I don't want to forget. What you were talking, it made me think about surrender and resentment. They have a hard time occupying the same space. And so when we're programmed, we are either programmed yes or no, forward or stop. But even traffic lights have a red light, yellow light, and a green light.
Yes.
So yellow light is slow down, pause. Obviously the red
I run through those yellow lights.
Well,
you have to train me not to accelerate.
But every battle is not a do or die.
Yes.
And we don't have to win every battle.
Yes.
And not everything is a yes or no. Sometimes it says it just shines a spotlight on it and is open to, well, maybe there's a different outcome. Maybe there's a different way.
Well, I like the resistance piece when you said, when I'm like, I can't hold resistance and surrender at the same time. And then you said, well, it's just to make you pause to say, why is this showing up? And it's like, oh, because then I could have done this for the plowing scenario, which I know, I hope I'm not boring you guys with the plowing scenario. I'm just taking a real life thing that is out of my control. But if I took why is this showing up right now? Because it's not going to happen when it's not snowing. It's only going to happen when I'm plowing. So I could have eliminated, here I am trying to make money. Now I'm going to go, I could have eliminated all that self-chatter, that,
right,
that noise that I'm
right.
barking
So
in the
surrender
world.
is not giving up. And it doesn't mean that it's either, nothing's always a yes or no. It's that surrender is like, hey, pause. Instead of like, oh, hey, we're in the battlefield, full steam ahead. We're going to fight resistance. We're going to fight it with, and actually, I'll have to wait till the break because I was going to say all the things that what we fight resistance with and how it shows up. And
I know my top two.
How much we self-sabotage because of it. Anger is self-sabotage. Resentment is self-sabotage. And then it seems like now that we know these tools, you can't put them back in the box. Like I can't go through another situation when you're broken down on the side of the road, the plow truck, now that I've got these tools, I can't. Who am I if I don't take these tools and apply them to me? Am I still going to stay the, bitter, angry, life is not fair, world is happening against me?
Shaking my fists at the heavens.
Yeah, because it's not going to solve everything, and it's stealing my joy. At the end of the day, I want to live in joy. And I was thinking about it, too. I was actually, thinking to Chris last night, how do you want to show up to the world? We'll talk about it when we come back.
We'll talk about it when we come back.
WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN.live.
The world's on fire. Attacks in the Middle East, Ukraine and Russia at war. And right here, Joe Biden has created a dangerous threat to every American. Biden's open border policies have opened the floodgates to a record number streaming in, 12,000 in one day alone. This means increased terrorist threats and even more deadly fentanyl being delivered to our neighborhoods. President Trump will change that. He'll secure our borders by building even more wall. He'll end visitors from terrorist countries being allowed to enter. And Trump will treat the drug cartels the same as he treated terrorists who kill Americans. President Trump, the strength to protect our borders and our families.
I'm Donald Trump, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Donald J. Trump for President 2024, Inc.
USA News, I'm Tim Berg. Former President Donald Trump appealed the Colorado Supreme Court's decision removing him from the ballot to the U.S. Supreme Court. The High Court quickly agreed to decide the case. Kentucky Republican Senator Rand Paul agrees with the court's decision.
Without question, the Supreme Court has to hear it. When I hear that it's going to be almost a month, though, until the hearing and perhaps longer to the ruling, I'm concerned that even that's too long. I think there needs to be an emergency injunction to shut down any of the states that are wanting to do this.
President Biden and former President Donald Trump both hit the campaign trails on Friday as the 2024 presidential election heats up. Arkansas Republican Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders joins Fox News to discuss how red states are doing ahead of the election.
States like Arkansas and other red states across the country continue to excel and do well. I think this bodes very well for the election coming up in November. I think President Trump is on track. I think there is such a great contrast to what is happening in blue states led by Democrat governors.
New revelations from another Jeffrey Epstein document dump. USA's Laura Winters with the details.
The third batch of Jeffrey Epstein documents unsealed. The new public documents allege Epstein and his associates would target and troll nightclubs looking for teenage girls. Also, new details about Prince Andrew. His butler alleges he received daily massages at Epstein's home in Palm Beach, Florida. And we learn Epstein invoked the Fifth Amendment 500 times during a deposition in 2016, and he dodged questions about former President Bill Clinton and the Clinton Foundation.
A winter storm is bringing a mix of rain and snow to New York and Washington, D.C., while Boston could get at least 6 inches of snow. This is USA News.
Omaha Steaks is rewriting the book on burgers with an all-new handmade texture for the juiciest home-style burgers you've ever tasted. Their pure ground burgers are made from single cuts of real aged Omaha steaks. These are truly steaks on a bun. Filet mignon, ribeye, New York strip, sirloin, and even brisket burgers. Now is the time to experience the exclusive Burger Perfection Flight for just $79.99. Go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code TREAT at checkout to get an extra $20 off your order, plus free shipping. You'll get 4 of each pure ground burger, so you can sample all the steak on a bun greatness. These burgers are crafted for a juicier, more tender experience, making your mouth water with every single bite. Don't wait. Go to omahasteaks.com. Use promo code TREAT at checkout and get $20 off the Burger Perfection Flight and discover your new burger obsession. Minimum order may be required.
Happy New Year from the Lucky Moose Casino and Tavern. Come in and experience all our new casino gaming machines. Enjoy our delicious menu, including our breakfast menu, each day from 9 to noon. We are the only casino in New Hampshire with RFI's Lucky Links machine. Be sure to visit Exit 6 off the Everett Turnpike and visit us online at luckymoosecasino.com. Be sure to join our Golden Antler Players Club.
Alltrix Primary Care, Nashua. They are a dedicated group of board-certified nurse practitioners, NPs, striving to make a difference in healthcare. They promise to make every effort to provide you with the best possible care and focus on you as an individual. As NPs, they are licensed to assess, diagnose, treat medical conditions, and prescribe medications. At Alltrix, they welcome new patients and accept most commercial insurance plans and Medicare. For those without insurance, consider Alltrix Direct, which provides all of your primary care for a small, affordable membership fee. No co-pays, no fee-for-service payments, and no third-party billing. Alltrix Primary Care provides unhurried, highly personalized health care for you and your family. Visit alltrixpc.com/Nashua. That's www.alltrixpc.com/Nashua. Altrix Primary Care, changing the future of primary care for you and your family.
Are you or your loved ones in need of compassionate care in the comfort of your own home? Look no further than Heaven Sent Home Care. Heaven Sent knows the importance of personalized care tailored to your unique needs. Whether it is assistance with daily activities, medication management, or specialized medical care, our compassionate caregivers are ready to provide the highest quality of in-home care. The services provided by Heaven Sent Home Care extend beyond physical care. They also offer companionship, ensuring that you or your loved ones have someone to share stories, laughters, and meaningful moments with. Experience the peace of mind that comes with knowing your loved ones are in capable hands. Or visit us online at heavensenthomecarellc.com to schedule a consultation and learn more about the comprehensive range of services provided. Heaven Sent Home Care, where care and compassion come together.
Are you craving a delicious home-cooked breakfast or lunch? Look no further than Cookie's Diner, Hudson's favorite dining spot. But it's not just about the food at Cookie's Diner. Their friendly staff provides top-notch service, making you feel like part of the diner family. Cookie's Diner, conveniently located at 222 Central Street in Hudson. They're open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. and Sunday from 7 a.m. until 1 p.m. Call-ahead orders are always welcome via DoorDash or by calling 603-880-3424. Cookie's Diner, where great food and fantastic service come together.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Lisa and Robyn are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn on the mic.
Good morning. You're listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM, and you can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live. We are live on Facebook, and we are live on YouTube. I see you, Jody Ann. How are you? I was thinking January is the most resistant month of the year, yeah. Along with February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, and December. And I watched Austin Powers the other night. I replayed
and we're like,
that.
Forget it. We're not going to make it to bikini season, so just enjoy. So then we enjoy the summer, and then we get back into the self-depreciating. Like,
I'll do it next year. And what I was thinking is, I see all those memes coming through on social media where everyone can't get rid of 2023 fast enough. And we think, oh, it was that year. That year's terrible, which I do agree about. 2020 really sucked. But other than that, like we can't just keep wishing away the years and next year won't be better unless we're better in some capacity. Right. We have to be better. Right. And we have to, fight against the resistance. But I was watching Austin Powers and I love Dr. Evil.
I do too.
I like him so much better than Austin Powers.
Dr. Evil. Yes. $1 million.
And it was funny. I haven't seen that movie in probably 10 or 15 years. And so he says, bring the sharks with lasers to kill Austin Powers. And
with the laser.
The laser.
Say it right, Lisa.
That's right.
The laser.
And then he says, no, they were on the endangered list. We couldn't get sharks. Well, what do we have? We have sea bass. Are they ill-tempered?
I love it.
Are they ill-tempered? And I think, Dr. Evil never gives up.
Yes.
No matter if the sharks aren't there, they've got sea bass that are ill-tempered. If something happens, something else happens. If he can't drill to the core and release the magma,
right. The hot. Dude, you got to do the hot magma.
Yeah, you do actually Dr. Evil pretty good.
Really? I didn't think. I thought you did it. That's why I was like, you got to go back and do it as the hot mag.
Yeah, and then Scott. When he does when he's always yelling at his son and he kills everyone at the group because they were insolent.
Insolent.
So we have to be a little bit, we don't have to be actual evil because Dr. Evil's kind of cute and fun in the movie.
He is, and he just keeps pushing forward.
And
just
he
nobody
keeps
listens
pushing
to him.
forward. And he's the boss man.
But you know what? The one thing that Dr. Evil has figured out, that he doesn't have a business problem. And it's like what Chris says. No business has a business problem. They have people problems. They have people problems.
I agree.
But
I manage properties.
That's true.
So the other day, and our properties are falling apart. You know, roofs are leaking.
But again, at the end of the day, it's because somebody didn't maintain it.
Someone did. But even if you maintain, we maintain the plow truck. The hydraulic
True.
line's
Well,
still
that's true.
blue.
Yes.
But the other day, John was asking me a question, and I said, I don't know. Let me look it up. And he goes, why don't we know this stuff anymore? He goes, it's like we have so much real estate and property manage knowledge in our minds that everything else fell out. What's the name of the things on the end of the glasses that go over your ears?
This?
Yeah, what is this called? What is this called, everyone?
An arm.
An arm is called an arm. Okay.
I don't know. That's what I'm going with.
I'm banging against everything in the studio. The arm. What is that called? Is it the arm? Well, I tried to look up eyeglass components on Google, and it called it like they said it's a hinge and a temple or something else. And I'm like, it's not called a temple.
I think that might be the actual part. This, I don't know. Maybe that's the temple where they're two married.
Oh, yeah.
Where the two pieces are married.
Because he was saying that this isn't fitting. And then we were trying to, what is the name of this? And then we said, we just have too much real estate knowledge. If it's not we can name every part of a roof. We can name every part of the inside of
But I think that as we get older, I think we just let go of things that we don't feel as important. Like, because I feel like I have so much stuff in my head.
Yeah. And we have more stuff in our heads than anyone's ever had in their heads ever.
Yes. And if you listen to like Elon Musk and all of these
giant brains, and when they start talking about space.
Yes. And they talk about the rate in which we process and receive information, it's only speeding up. I don't know enough.
I'm not speeding up.
I don't know.
Let it be known that
but then,
I don't speed up.
But you say, but our youth, but you think about it. So our youth, like we didn't have cell phones up until what, early 20s or like maybe our late teens.
I didn't get my first cell phone until 30.
Actually, I didn't have mine until I was 29.
Okay, so we were the same.
Yeah. So,
and you had a text going like,
but yeah, now babies are born and they already know, like they're toddlers, they don't even can't walk and they can access their mom's phone. So, like the rate of technology is increasing in the way that they process and receive information is on a higher scale, and so we're kind of at the age where like, is that relevant? Do I really need to hold on to that? Do I really need to know that thing? It's that long thing that just hurts.
The thing that goes over your ears.
Yeah, it hurts the back of my head when I have to wear my glasses. So before we went to break, we were talking about how resentment.
I'm very resentful of my resistance.
Yes.
But now I'm just going to label it as resistance, and I'm going to be like standard. Of course, it's going to.
Yes.
Try to thwart me. Like I'm just going to call resentment, not resentment. I keep saying resentment. Goodness. My resistance, Dr. Evil. I'm going to name it, and I'm probably going to go like this so I can have a good laugh.
Yes. My resistance. So what I was going to say is. What we said, resistance was the negative energy that stands between a person and their dreams, and it shows up in many forms. So, anger.
Distraction.
Yes. Procrastination. It also says sex. It shows up in sex. Just trouble.
Well, immediate gratification. That's where the sex comes in. I can feel really good right now.
Yes. Yes. Yes, it is immediate gratification. Self-medication, self-dramatization. I always have a hard time saying it.
I'm a good dramatizer.
So we can obsess about, so why am I feeling like I got home from work and I have a stressful day, and January is a good time because a lot of people are making New Year's resolutions. New Hampshire has one of the highest alcoholic rates in our country.
Isn't that amazing? I would think Alaska would be worse because they're dark 6 or 7 months of the year. I thought we're almost dark. It's actually sunny out right now, but I think that's so interesting because you've said that a number of times to me, and I'm like, man,
it's crazy. It's crazy to me. But so these are all things that self-sabotage. You know, we self-sabotage. Is it because we're fearful of not wanting to?
I think it's because we feel, or at least when I was younger, I remember people used to say, like, if something would happen and I'd have 3 things happen in a row. My car broke down, something happened, and something happened, right? They would go, oh, it's like you have a black cloud on you. People like label, or used to label
Yes.
that. And that used to make me want to fight the black cloud more. And then I would pick up a newspaper and look at my star sign and hope for something else. Is something coming? Is the moon going to align properly?
Right.
And I used to think like the cosmos. I don't want the cosmos against me, but we can understand that there are muses on our side, and we can call that the cosmos. We can call that God. We can call that whatever we want. But there's also this other force that is just as insistent.
Yes.
And if we think of resistance as standard, that's standard. It's always going to be there. Standard. Or I need to learn this. Our listeners don't need to learn this. I need to learn this. That
this is our couch session
this
today.
I am definitely on the couch today. That when I feel that resistance, just say standard. And if I come to it like Robyn does, it from a playful perspective, or a way to have like, all right, make this more fun. I know we have to do this, making dinner. I know we have to go to the supermarket, but buy myself flowers, do something to make it a little bit more fun, then I can bring the muses along with me so that I don't have to fight resistance alone. That I have my warrior, my muses beside me.
Yes.
Because apparently, and I never remembered it from the book, but there were, I think, 8 or 9 muses. One assigned to all the types of the arts.
Yes.
And I think of business as an attempt to merge every type of art together, because you're always solving problems.
Well, what did he say in the beginning of the book about the world wants art?
Oh, he said that the Greeks said that the gods are immortal, and they wanted to invoke and elicit from us, because we're transitory, the art and the genius, so they could have it in perpetuity. So they whispered a couple of bars in Beethoven's ear.
Yes.
So that they could have the Fifth Symphony.
So he actually, and I was trying to quote it, so if I get the name wrong, when I was listening to it this morning on the way here, it's Gertis Culper quote, and he's talking about bold has a genius, magic, and power in it. He said that the angels are agents of evolution. I loved that. And he says the Kabbalah describes them as bundles of light. And I was like, I have 2 people. Actually, one's coming on our show that she said you are light, and I cannot wait for you to meet her, because she's going to be talking.
Tell us about her. She's coming on the 25th. What's her name?
Megan.
Megan?
I can't pronounce her last name, but so we're gonna we'll do a thing and surprise her, because I want to give her, like, where does she feel the most confident about talking, like, what's her space, like, this is what I would want her to say. But so I think in order to make it a good show, we
give her
yes
what she wants to talk of,
yes,
the authority to talk about what she wants.
And he actually was talking about how our self-destructive demons keep us from tapping in to that. And I kept thinking about all of the stuff that we've been saying over the radio, and as I was listening to you, thinking about take religion out of the picture and just look at it on a broader perspective. There's always, even with Austin Powers, there's always the battle between good and evil.
Always.
Light and dark, God and the devil. Take those as a metaphor. If you're not religious, you don't believe in a higher power or spirit, whatever.
You have to believe in evil when you look at the world.
But it's kind of just a representation of good and bad. And every day we get to choose. And so I've decided, like, I'm actually going to start shoring my boundaries up a little bit tighter and tighter, because
you want to keep evil further away.
I'm willing to do the work. But now that I actually know, I am going to actively choose joy. And so if that goes and puts people in my red light zone, then I'm sorry. We actually had somebody that was in my red light zone, and we kicked her off on the show.
Yes.
Was it last week or the week before?
Yeah.
Eliminating negativity. At the end of the day, what are we choosing? I choose joy.
I love that you choose joy. And I think being around you makes me choose playfulness and joy more. And I was thinking when we talked about alcoholism or alcohol, drugs, when you think about resistance, those things numb a lot of feelings. So you don't feel the unlived portion of you that's nagging.
Yes, it calms that brain
part. It quiets that down. It quiets the instinct to even do it down.
It quiets our conscious. It's telling you something. And so, like like when he said the muses are whispering in the ear, and there's a muse over every. Like some people believe there's a muse, an angel over every blade of grass, saying "grow, grow, grow." I love when he said in the book, and he said that there's a much larger angel above you saying "evolve, evolve, evolve."
Yes.
But if you think about it, what we've created, like, okay, so say why did God create us? God didn't create us to build all these buildings and all of these things and all the 7 wonders of the world and all the beauty that's out there, the beautiful blue sky, the birds, all that stuff. We weren't meant to be born to work. Work is only supposed to, give us the money to pay for the life that we want.
Or to solve problems.
Solve problems, but it's not,
But I think absence of work, absence of any work, you don't push against the resistance. And I think you have to push against the resistance.
Yes.
So the part of me that gets so angry and resentful at the resistance, there's also the part of me that knows without the resistance, you don't grow.
Right.
You can't grow if you're not growing against anything.
Right.
A blade of grass grows against the ground.
Right.
Right. It pushes, all the flowers in the spring, they're all pushing out and up to emerge.
Yeah. So, but this is what we're talking about. We happen to be talking about, here are the negative signs of resentment, and here's how you notice them, and here's how you change them, because I don't think that you can live without resistance.
Oh no, it's not possible.
Right.
It's everywhere all the time.
Yes.
That's why I shouldn't be so angry at it when it shows up. I should just be like, there you are.
It says so he was, and I made a note, it says deliberately choosing unhappiness by failing to fulfill our obligations. That's what makes us feel regret or shame. And also resistance shows up in our partners. You're pushing forward and you're growing and blooming, and then somebody in your team or your tribe comes to thwart that.
Because maybe they don't want you to change because they're nervous on what's the other side, or maybe they see you and they think you're mirroring something in them. I have something that I'm not.
Well, maybe
chasing.
They're hearing that same voice and they know it and they're not acting on it, and so it creates jealousy, resentment, separation, anger, fear. All of those things are of the negative side of resentment. Alcohol, it's the self-depreciation. And he was, people say that talking about substance abuses, that's where they're most creative. And he was talking about there's like neuroscientist believes that there's good evidence that shows that we're actually more creative after not using drugs and alcohol. Bob Dylan, Anthony Hopkins, Drew Barrymore were all examples of being better and being more creative after they're kicking the habit of their substance abuse.
I think I think of musicians. We are a radio station, although we don't play music. The radio station plays music. And I think of all of those rock stars who, heroin addict, this, that, whatever. It shuts off the part that says you're not good enough, because you get, can you say the word balls on the radio?
Yeah, I don't know why not.
Great big, gives you great big
kahunas.
Great big kahunas, because you have to, when you're standing on a stage in front of people, putting out something that's never been done before, you need that. You need that confidence. You need the cojones to go and do that. But then there's also the fear that's just as big on the other side, and the drugs kind of eliminate that. And the drug is the party aspect.
Yes.
But when you think of Motley Crue, who was the one who died twice in one night? Nikki Sixx?
I think it was Nikki Sixx.
But the guy who was saving him in the ambulance was like, "You're not dying. I'm not having Nikki Sixx die in my ambulance. He's got to go." But you end up destroying what makes you beautiful if you only do that, because you have to wrestle with the not good enough on your own.
Right.
I know we want to elicit help.
But what would it be if you could be? That's what well, gosh, if I can get out of my own way, that's really what it is.
Mm-hmm.
We're self-medicating because of our ego.
And we're in the way.
Yes.
How do I get me out?
Yes. And he actually...
Can I go nap while
yes.
this is happening?
He brought up a point about self-medication. Anxiety and depression can be real, but he said a lot of times it can be resistance too.
There's a great story, and I heard it recently. At the end of after World War I, there was a group of men who were catatonic in the hospital. They didn't know what ailed them. They didn't know what mental disability they had. They were literally catatonic. World War II comes, they all got up and went and fought in war. So it's almost like they didn't have a purpose. So you come out of a war, and you're a warrior, and then you come back to this regular, boring old life doing whatever. When you were just a warrior in battle.
Right.
And now you survived.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Can you come back on that other side? And then what, to sweep the floor or to do this? No, you're a warrior.
Right.
You know, you were meant to do battle. You were on the battlefield. I think I shouldn't be on the battlefield. I can help in the I can help in so many other ways. I can help in so many other ways. I can be in a plane on top of it. I can be a nurse on the back of it, but I can't be on the I don't imagine I would be great on the battlefield, but there are people who are their best on a battlefield.
I think so. And because their mind thinks very differently. Like our brains process things very differently, and being able to have instinct and
but to your point about depression and anxiety, I think sometimes anxiety is a little bit of telling you need to do something.
Yes.
Now, it can be completely unchecked and you're always worried that you have to do something when, all right, give yourself a break too. But I think that niggling feeling that you don't know what it is, ask yourself some pretty good questions about, is there something I should be doing that I'm not doing?
Why? Why am I feeling this way? What's making me feel this way? What's my job? What about the job? Mm-hmm. Ask yourself a better question. You owe it to yourself.
I feel really bad because it seems like this younger generation has a lot of malaise. And I don't know if it's because they feel like for the first time in the United States, they can't get ahead. And so they feel the resistance of being, beaten before they even step to the starting line. I don't know, but I feel like we're doing a disservice to our youth if we can't help them kind of navigate. I know there's the idea of the universal income, but where does that money come from? Someone's paying that.
Yeah, I don't even want to go down that.
I don't want to go that road.
Stress me out.
Anxiety and depression. We can talk about that.
But he was talking about how a lot of times, I'm a little bit nervous to quote it because when he said, if you think that, like, it was marketing, the pills, anxiety, like depression, all that stuff is marketing. Not to say that they don't exist.
Jordan Peterson is a perfect example of that. Are you depressed? Yes. Why? Is there something you can do about it? So cognitive behavioral therapists take your depression as an answer to a question that's not asked.
Yes. Yes.
Or a question to an answer you don't have, or some one version of that, right. Whichever the right one is. But they're looking like you're not doing well. Why? What are you not doing that you should be doing? Or what are you doing that you shouldn't be doing? Those are two fairly decent questions to ask yourself. You're listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live. And we are live on Facebook and YouTube. We are here every Thursday from 10 a.m. to noon. And today we are talking in the middle of January about resistance.
I know, now I make notes and I can't even read them. So what he was saying is, a lot of we have made depression and anxiety so much more greater. Drug companies have, because they can make money off of it. he was saying, pause, ask yourself some better questions. Is this something, is this could be resistance? And not to say that there aren't mental health issues and depression isn't real and we need to be medicated. I'm not saying that. He also says that...
But the depression has risen so exponentially when our lives have gotten so much better. We don't have to worry about food. Where's food coming from? It's at the supermarket.
Right.
We don't have to worry about being cold and hungry. There is still that problem, but the majority of people don't have that problem. So we have creature comforts that to previous generations didn't exist. So our lives should be better. Why are we going backwards in our mental health?
Right.
Why are more and more people unhappy and depressed?
Well, it's not even so much as your mental health. It's just evolving as a human being. We get all these things to numb us out. TV and food and alcohol, drugs, sex, bad relationships, whatever. He's talking about resentment, how it's most powerful at the finish line. And he said danger, that's when the danger is at its greatest. That it's going to come for you. It's going to test you. Shows up in your relationship, shows up in your job, shows up in your finances, shows up in all areas in your relationships. So just asking, pause, what can I do? How can I reframe this?
Well, Carl Jung has the quote that one of the greatest burdens a child must bear is the unlived life of its parents.
Oh my God, yes. I heard that. Read it one more time because it's beautiful. Just listen.
The greatest burden a child must bear is the unlived life of its parents. So resistance is the unlived life.
Yes. It goes back to being denied as a kid of everything and not knowing any why. We're just told it's not safe to explore. It's not safe to branch out. It's just no. And then there was not a lot of thinking. We weren't taught to think. Listen, do as you're told.
Do as you're told.
That was a good one. That was an old one.
That's an old one that we don't hear anymore.
Yes. Do as you're told.
No one hears do as you're told.
Well, I have said, do as I say, not as I do. I have said that sometimes to my kids.
I remember I was sticking the knife in the toaster, and I unplugged it, but I looked at my nephew. I was like, "Don't do this. Yes. Don't do what Auntie's doing."
Yes. He said it recruits allies.
Yes, that's the muses. It recruits allies.
Yes, but also for good and bad. Because it recruits allies, too, it's going to pull in your family members. It's going to pull in your friends. It's going to pull in things if you're going to continue to resist.
And one of the things he does say about resistance is plan to make new friends because you're going to need new friends in the process.
Yes. Yes.
Which I think is scary. I think a lot of people resist change because they think... I'll take the drinking one, for example. Because I know because I had stopped drinking for health reasons. Not because I had an alcohol problem, but just for health reasons. And so many people have now come up to me that they have stopped drinking for health reasons or they stopped drinking for another reason. And I don't want to hang out at the bar anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I have 2 hours in me to do this and I don't want to do it anymore. Mm-hmm. It's like, yes, so you stopped doing an activity that everyone did together and now you don't know how to. The hardest part is not the not drinking. It's now being in an activity where all you did was drink with people who all they were doing is drinking. So now where does that leave you?
Well, so that's where you practice your surrender. You just practice the pause and just wait and just keep your mind open to possibilities. New environments, new people, new ideas. And we rush. And it talks about resentment too, is, we immediately seek instant gratification. That's all these vices: pills, drugs, alcohol, sex, food,
social media scrolling,
chocolate, shopping.
Internet.
All of these things are, yes, internet, social media. All of these are all immediate gratification things. And he says that, you can go, it's hard work, self-discipline, delay gratification. Instead of putting it into a product or into a thing, practice delaying your gratification, surrender. It's not a battle that I have to fight. Let me just pause and see. Okay, so so you've decided, not you personally, but you've decided that you're going to stop drinking and now the bar scene is out. our first thing is like, oh my God, we got to go rush to get into something new. And sometimes we pick up another bad habit because of it.
And I still do the bar scene with everybody.
Yeah.
You know, because I can still have a good time not drinking if I'm amongst people doing things, and we could still see music and we can still do this. But I will say that when that part comes where everybody wants to go to the next bar for one more thing, and I'm like, there's no more fun to be had really here. It's just one more drink. When I haven't been drinking for the last year. Now I've lost interest. Well, that last little bit that wants to keep the fun going.
Well, that's the alcohol talking at that point.
Yes.
Because nobody's making really good decisions.
No.
Because the minute you get out of that.
And no one wants to hear to the one sober person telling them that enough is enough.
But everybody's having a good time because they're being in that energy. And so sometimes people don't allow themselves the freedom to explore that without a substance in their body. Because of whether it's an insecurity or it's a fear of being judged or being ridiculous, feeling or humiliation, however it is, they need that vehicle in order to open up that kind of energy level. And like, I know for me, I don't need alcohol. I just need to be in the right people that can feed that energy. And I feel like it's even better
because I remember.
Yes. And I don't have a hangover.
And I don't feel like crap the next day.
Right.
Because you and I both feel, even though we don't drink a lot, and I didn't drink a lot, I always felt terrible if I drank. The next day I always ate poorly because I was trying to undo this feeling of nausea all the time. My body didn't process alcohol well.
Mine doesn't either. If I don't have the right amount of water or the right amount of food in my body, like it has
it's like detonating a bomb. Yes. I have to have 2 extra vitamin B pills. I have to have 1 Excedrin. I have to have 17 glasses of water. I have to have a hamburger, French fries,
and your B12,
and my B12,
and I have to have enough hours of sleep.
And I have to have 2.5 drinks
in a dark room,
and 27 hours of sleep.
Yeah,
with a cat.
Actually, I had another thing. I know I have so much I want to say. That's the problem having notes in my book and in my
in your phone.
Yes. So he was actually talking about how he was actually talking about how how we use all of these things in there, and so then I was thinking, I pulled a little bit from Joe Dispenza and how in Jordan Peterson, and I was trying to find it. We become addicted to the drama. So it's not
because it takes place of having to deal with anything else.
Well, so what happens is like when your emotions are activated, maybe that's the best way to say it. It's not only a emotional response. It's not only a physical response. It is a biological response. So what happens, it's to your body. And I was like, I love this stuff. So, and I know I don't get it right because I'm still just learning, but your thoughts create a biochemical reaction in your brain. It affects your neurotransmitters, your neuropeptides, and your hormones. So your neurotransmitters, it activates your thought process. That starts getting your adrenaline going, so that it starts the channels of going. Your neuropeptides is your signal. It's your chemistry. Do I need to release endorphins? Do I need to do adrenaline, dopamines? It's trying to figure out where it goes, and then it sends it all to your hormones. And now our body it's releasing. That's where it has decided it's where it's going to release.
And I think that's why people make drama. If you come from a very dramatic household as a family, you say your family grew up in a very dramatic household, one of the things it's very hard to get away from is the drama. Because if anything's quiet, sometimes you blow things up because...
Yes. And have you ever seen somebody that is very emotional?
I'm very emotional.
Well, I am. But just third-personing it instead of like, okay, we don't have to attack ourselves. But because I think we're all guilty of it. And it's always easier to point out flaws in somebody else than it is to look in the mirror. So that's why I was using... Have you ever seen somebody and you just know their drama? Like they will fuss over, like, I can't go out because I don't have the right outfit, or you're not taking enough pictures of me, or you're not doing this, and so immediately that person is always creating some kind of emotional energy. It's usually negative. So their bodies we actually physically change our bodies. And so once that moment has passed and all of those cortisone, all of those levels, hormone levels start dying down again, we can exist for a little while in that place until there's going to be another hiccup, because we got to get it back going up again. Mm-hmm. It's why people will always complain and people always judgment. And I just was like, that's kind of interesting. And now that I'm aware of it, like, no, I don't want to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. And that's a victimhood mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of like, I'm helpless.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a boss and we're going to get this stuff done.
Yeah.
Stuff. Yeah. Yep.
137.
That's when you get into the real conversation. Yes. We have a minute on.
Okay. You're listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM, and you can watch, stream, and listen every Thursday on WSMN.live and on Facebook Live and on YouTube Live. And hello, Caitlin Marie Young. How are you?
Well, hello, beautiful lady. So he says in the beginning, and I love this, the artist and the warrior live by the same code of necessity, that the battle must be fought new every day. So whether you're...
what's that movie? We dedicate ourselves anew every day. No Country for Old Men. You say what you're going to say, and I'll
No
find
Country
the quote.
for Old Men. The same code. Oh, necessity every day. And it's like, he talks about business owners too. We can't be ruled by failure. You know, failure is a roadblock. Humiliation is a roadblock. He was talking about, you know, failure, humiliation, resentment, jealousy, all of these things are roadblocks, but they're also indicators to say, hey, there's something going on internally that you need to address. And a lot of times we just keep squishing it down instead of being like, okay, let's take this out and unpack it and see what it is.
We distract ourselves. I'm going to go on social media. I'm going to go fold the laundry. I'm going to go do this. You can fill that void.
So what he said, what I thought was beautiful, he said, you take Madonna, for example. Madonna doesn't walk around the house and identify as Madonna. She has separated her business. And so speaking to entrepreneurs are so tied to their business because it is their business. It's their bread and butter. It's their baby. They've started it. But like an artist, and I do think that if you're an entrepreneur and you're a business owner, you are an artist. You're trying to create something from scratch on your own.
And you're creating every day.
So he says, you know, Madonna doesn't walk around the house in her bustier and leather identifying
boots.
as Madonna. She employs Madonna. And I loved that. She employs that. She embodies that. It's not who she is.
Yeah.
Your company, your business is not who you are. And we take that and internalize that personally. And I think that's a huge roadblock for a lot of people.
Yeah, well, when I think of business, I think of all the roadblocks. I know so many people will say, oh, aren't you afraid with AI? You're not going to be a realtor anymore or anything. And I think, well, first of all, real estate is a people business as much as it's anything else. And AI is never going to fix the problems that arise in real estate that I can fix. So I'm not afraid. Even though all of this technology, all of this stuff is coming, I'm not saying it's not changing the way we do business, but I'm not afraid I'm going to be eliminated because of it.
I like that. Yes.
I will always have the skill set that I have. I will always have the experience and the expertise that I have to take care of a real tangible thing that doesn't live in the ether. It doesn't live in a cloud. It doesn't live, it's here. It's tangible. It's breaking. It's, you know, you can build them.
Yes.
You know, you can fix them. You live in them. I don't ever, the reason why I love real estate is because it's those things. It's tangible.
Yes, it's tangible.
It's tangible.
See, I'm tactile. I like.
We both talked about touch is our love language.
Yes. Well, and he says, you know, as an artist and an entrepreneur, business owners, they don't take it personally. if when they don't take it personally, it says that means that their confidence in their professional their confidence in professional consciousness lies somewhere other than your ego.
And I think ego is everything for a lot of us.
Yes.
And we need ego. Otherwise, we wouldn't leave the house on any given day.
Yes.
Our ego, I know in all meditation and all of that stuff, we're trying to get rid of the ego as much as possible.
Yes.
But the ego gets us, the ego got us here, or we'd all be 3 still.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
we need our
Yes.
we need it. We need to employ our ego.
Yes. Yes.
Our
I
ego
love
doesn't
that.
need to rule the roost.
Yes. Yes. Employ your ego.
Yeah, it's not ruling the party.
Well, so even talking about kids, being denied, your parents were always telling you no, from the get-go. Evolution has programmed us to feel rejection. And so we can't handle rejection. And it actually has a biological effect on our body. It's the same thing as humiliation. And I thought that's what fascinates me, is how our bodies actually change and understanding that our bodies change and go through a chemical process to make our emotions happen. Maybe that's a better way to say it. And so that fascinates me, and I'm like, well, if that's true, then I can control my emotions, and I want to have a good day every day. And that's what dictates me, and I don't know how to be. So now I'm constantly more conscientiously seeking those things. God, that was a mouthful.
I won't make you repeat it.
Thank God. It's like, I might have just ripped my microphone out because I was trying to uncross my phone was going to sleep.
She's got really cute shoes on.
I do.
Let's
I don't even know where the camera is.
I think the camera's over here. Let me see him. I know. How can we go from? We're not resistant to cute shoes.
Right.
Look how cute these are.
We did say. I think that's even in our bio.
Yeah, it's really funny. So our bio, I was hearing they're allergic to cheap shoes. I bought cheap shoes, and I'm like, this is why I don't buy cheap shoes,
because they hurt your feet.
They're so cute. They hurt my feet, and I'm not sure, if how the plastic is going to interact. But I had to buy them in the moment. I was just
interact how, Lisa?
I did not have resistance. I was not winning the resistance war of the cute cheap shoes.
I know. For the price, it's like, yeah, that's cute. And you just have to now create a scenario where you're not walking in them. That's
what we were doing. I bought them, put them on, and went shopping.
I know.
Oh, so some fun facts. We have a little area of the studio here at WSMN, 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. We'll do that real quick. And we're going to be live on the radio in comfy chairs and a camera, hopefully next week.
Yes. We did put a reel on. You can see it on YouTube or Facebook.
Yeah.
We still have a couple more little touches.
Yeah, we still have a few more things to do, but it's 99% there. And so we're not going to have all this equipment around us, even though this looks very studio and industrious and
I know, and you're getting
typical.
comfortable. It's kind of used to it.
I know, because now we're going to go over there and I'm be nervous. Do something new. I do think anytime we do something new, no matter how easy it is or hard it is, the first time for us, that resistance is, get back in your place. Don't try something new. I think, and I really liked that my hydraulic line blew while I was listening to the book because, like I said, I've been listening to this book every year as an entrepreneur as like a way to shore myself up against what I knew was surely coming, which were all the problems and all of that. But I loved how it finally clicked. That resistance is everywhere all of the time. It'll never go away. Mm-hmm. I have to, I can just label it.
And that's the great thing is because now that you know it, you can't unthink it. And so it's like...
But it took me a long time to get it.
Yeah, but I also think about timing. It's like you are having to hear it. Maybe the universe or the cosmos says, hey, Lisa, this is like the second time or the third time in January that you've listened to this book. here's how you apply it. I'm going to give you a situation right now. And that, because I think about that every time something comes up, I'm like, okay, why is this happening?
Yes.
That was what surrender did for me. It made me pause and be like, okay, why is this happening?
Yeah.
Why am I meeting this? Why am I meeting this resistance? Why am I meeting this force right now?
And what can I learn from it?
Yeah.
What can I learn from it?
And I think it keeps, it also, I think it keeps you from attaching to the drama.
And I knew resistance was real. I always knew it. I always felt it. And I think that's why I always tried to learn new skills, because I always felt like I needed to be shored up against it. Like I needed, that's why when the whole thing happened, I was like, well, thank God I have my cell phone. Let me see if I can find a mobile company that will fix this. Let me do that, because I want a solution to all these problems. And the older I get, I feel like I should have more solutions on my tool belt.
Right.
That's why I've had a lot of different jobs. And even if I've never liked them and I'm never going to use them again, I try to take something and bring it into the next job with me.
Yes. You're carrying what you learned forward. And that was a great, to me, the reason I think why the plow truck comes up is because you're in that moment. And another level of consciousness opened up for you, I think. Of like, hey, I'm listening to this right now. And what good is listening to this if I don't actually apply it? And I'm giving an opportunity right in this moment to practice it. And I'm like, so I love the idea of you talking about bringing things forward from the things that, your gifts. Or the things that you...
Or the lessons.
Or the tools that you bring. Yeah.
Tools, lessons, gifts, all of it.
Would say to my kids, forget the mistake and remember the lesson. Don't beat yourself up over, a mistake. Mistakes happen. We are not perfect. And we're going to make mistakes many, many times in a single 24-hour period. Just remember the lesson and don't hold on. Don't beat ourselves up for it. And I also think that the more that we hold on to those... It's feeding anger. It's feeding jealousy. It's feeding insecurity.
And it's feeding fear because you're afraid of making a mistake again, and it's just bound to happen.
Yes.
No one's ever mistakeless.
And being told your whole life, it's being able to overcome that, I think, is a big one. Because we automatically think no is going to be the first answer. And so we've already built up a thing about rejection is going to be bad.
I think what the salesperson learned is I need to get through all these no's to my yes. I think for anybody who's in any kind of sales job, the quickest thing to learn is the no is not the problem.
Right.
The no is not the problem. You got to get through your no's to yes, because and I think there's some people who are blessed with that first experience being a yes. And I almost think it's a detriment to have your first yeses. If they're too early in the process, it doesn't teach you what has to happen through the process.
Yeah.
It's good to have a lot of no's at the beginning because you practice getting over that.
Yes.
Versus if you had a yes right up front, you hear 3 no's and all of a sudden now you're questioning why you took this job, or you're questioning your reality or anything else. When no, that was not par for the course. The no's are the pars for the course.
Well, so when Chris was in his 20s and starting his first remodeling business, he bought a used Merita bread truck. It was baby blue, piece of junk is what he said. And he said he would drive it down the highway and he would wave at everybody to see how many people could wave at him. He was teaching himself rejection. He was teaching himself it's okay. And not every client is a good client. And sometimes that no is actually saving you, protecting you. And I think about how we show up. When Jonah was in high school, when he went out for the golf team, there was not a lot of kids on the golf team. They went out and he said that he didn't make varsity. And he's like, well, he didn't take no for an answer. He went to regular golf practice.
JV golf, yeah.
JV practice, and then he would show up for the
Varsity.
I forgot. I wanted to say pro, and I'm like,
I'm here for you.
So I had a brain fart. What'd you call it? A fart spray?
Spray fart.
Spray fart. Different from the brain fart. But so he decided he was showing up. He started going and showing up varsity, and he started going up to their games in uniform, prepared to be on the sideline. Like he wasn't going to take no for an answer. And he's like, I'm just going to keep going forward until somebody tells me no. But I'm preparing myself, and I'm putting myself in the arena. And I'm like, I'm so proud of you.
So the guy,
and he was on varsity.
Yeah, and that's persistence. You need persistence and determination and stubbornness, a little stubbornness.
But not to have a setback. Don't let the no rule you. I'm not to say that you're not like, well, you can't hire me. Well, I'm not going to show up at Chick-fil-A in a uniform. I'm not going to beat the girl
in the parking lot and go take her job.
Steal her uniform.
You're not 007 yet.
Steal her apron.
That's what 007 does.
Right. I don't even know how to use her little keypad yet.
I was thinking of the hardwood floor guy. He said that he was a subcontractor, but the builder he worked for went out of business. And so he showed up at this other builder's place. He's building a street. And he says, hey, you need any help with your hardwood floors? The guy's like, no, I got a team, whatever. He showed up every morning at like 7:45 because the crew's supposed to be there at 7:30. And he did this. And he said one day the guy doesn't show up. Contractors are notorious for having scheduling difficulties or whatever. And so then the guy said, fine, you're here today. Just do this one, but you're not getting any other ones. And then he became a subcontractor for that builder. But he said, I didn't have anywhere else to go. He didn't say it like it wasn't because I don't take no. And he goes, my job was gone. I didn't have another place to be at 7:45.
Right. I didn't have a choice, and this seemed like the best thing.
This seemed like the only idea I had. But look he ended up growing a business out of it.
But he talks about the muses, and maybe that's a next one because we never even got into the muses, and it's almost time. Maybe that's just listening to his shutting out all other things, because I do think that we do have muses. I think ideas and thoughts, inspiration are all from muses.
Elizabeth Gilbert, she's a writer, she has a great story about her and Ann Patchett, another beautiful writer. They used to write letters to each other, old-fashioned letters. And Elizabeth Gilbert kept having this idea of this woman who was trying to save the rainforest, and I'm going to get the details of the story wrong, so
that's all right. That's what we're known for.
I'll make up a whole new one. They were going to build a skyscraper, right?
I'm going to tell it like I like.
Right. And she kept the story line kept coming to her, and she didn't do anything with it. And she said she was writing to Anne, and Anne wrote back to her, I'm working on the story, and she said, what's the story? And it was the exact story she had already. It was the woman at the rainforest doing the thing. And Elizabeth Gilbert took that as the muse was whispering to her, and either she didn't pick it up or the timing was wrong and the muse went to somebody else. And when the muse whispers, test out and try things, because maybe that's the next thing.
Right.
Or maybe that's the thing that you were missing in your life, or or the next thing.
Yes.
We have a million of those things. And I know that there's a million ideas, and I joke around, being a creative. There's the new shiny object is way more interesting than the work of this project.
Yes. Yes.
So I can totally get a new blank canvas, instead of working yourself through this problem, or it probably works in symphony or in dance or any other creative endeavor. And it even works in work. At work sometimes it's I don't want to do that. I'm going to go do this other thing because I can manage this other thing because this thing is bogging me down.
Yes. Yes.
I always joke I use the procrastinator's tool of doing all of the things I like the least until I get around to doing everything once.
See, if I have something that I really, really, really want to do, I'll get all the hard stuff or all the ugly stuff. I always call it the ugly stuff. Stuff I don't want to do. I always try to get those out of the way first. And I do probably half-ass it a little bit and okay, because I'm just doing it. But I'm like, okay, I can check those off. And now I've got all this space in order to do what I want to do. Whether I'm going to paint, whether I'm going to exercise, or whatever it is. I'm going to hike for the day or go skiing or go shopping or whatever we're going to do. So I always put my favorite towards the last. So, I eat dessert last. Not always. But so
I think we're going to wrap up, actually. We're at the end of the second hour.
So there's a lot of things, but the two things that can take away, ask yourself, what are you resisting? And the other encouragement is find your strength in your resistance. Find the strength in your resistance.
And surrender.
Yes.
Until next Thursday, you are listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN, 1590 AM, 95.3 FM, and you can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live. We will see you next Thursday at 10 a.m. Have a good week. Oh, maybe I didn't. Well, maybe I got the... It says top of the hour. Well, we've got another minute, maybe.
Direction to be.
At the end of the day, I will always defend and fight for the Constitution. That's what we should do as Americans. I think what happened on January 6th was a terrible day, and I think President Trump will have to answer for it.
Haley said it's wrong. Former President Trump cannot concede that he lost the election to President Biden in 2020. Amidst House Republicans' effort to compel Hunter Biden into Congress for closed-door testimony about their impeachment investigation into the Biden family, the president's son is stating his case about the calls.
If he had no involvement in your business.
Do you have a dad? Does he call you?
Yes.
Answer the phone?
Yes.
Okay.
Biden had that exchange with a Fox Business reporter as Hunter walked the halls of Congress Wednesday. He appeared in the chambers unannounced to compel House Republicans to take his testimony out in the open.